Okay, we're going to go ahead and put the primary together here. I'm going to swap out this solenoid. I found another one in this box over there. This one looks a lot better. This one here is all broken through here anyway, so for some reason we have multiple parts here. I don't know what the deal is. He has lots of spikes and lots of spare parts, so I'm assuming some of this stuff has been, he's got 2 or 3 of things in here for whatever reason. That makes it always fun to put stuff together when you got multiples of parts. You don't know which ones were the good ones that came out. So we're going to assume this one here is not the best. That usually means it's probably the best one. But we'll go with this one. So I also pulled the battery cable or the starter cable out so I can check that out. Make sure it's going to be good. Camera's real close, so we're going to be shooting off camera a little bit here. Should I do 2 bolts at once? Have more practice. We start taking shortcuts when we don't have to videotape how to do everything correctly. This thing got in my way a little bit. Belongs. Tight. Tight. Always do the hammer test. Make sure everything's tight. Okay. There it goes. Why is that bound up? Bound up for some reason. Freed up. Hopefully that doesn't stick. Okay. I'm going to get this clutch and stuff in here. Lots of little stuff to do. We also got to put the clutch together. Well, here's the clutch rod we talked about that goes way in the back here. And this flat spot here is for going in the lever back there. Of course, this one is not going to fit that way because that would be too easy. Yep. Can't see in there. But I had the flashlight out with me. Now where to go to? There we go. No way that's going to drop in there. So I have to pull the whole arm back off the other side to hook this up. Now, one of 2 things is going on. The arm's made wrong, or when I had it pushed against the back of the primary, it actually collapsed the end of it a little bit. I'm guessing that's the one that happened. It's my fault. But who knows? All we know is we have to fix it. Okay. So we'll have to get back to that. So we're going to work on this instead. So you got to make sure your key goes in there. Let's see if it's in there nice and tight. That's kind of different. Usually they fall in and fall back out. Okay, I need a little red Loctite. What did I do with that? Once again, I thought I had everything sitting here. Nope, it's on the other side. More tools we need, or going to be needing. I know what I didn't bring yet. It's another tool I forgot. Okay, I put a little red Loctite on the taper here, give it a little extra holding power. And I also put on the threads here to actually keep the thing from falling off. Those lock tabs easy to twist when you torque them down real tight like I do. I don't put any Loctite on the motor sprocket. Usually don't ever have to do that. That took a minute to find. So, one custom made compensator sprocket tool. Dad made this. It's never had a problem. The Jim's ones, they break about every 3 times you use them. So, here's what you got. This goes in here. Voila. Goes in there. This one didn't go in quite straight. Beat them in there straight. So you can make your own, as you can tell, by taking 4 dowel pins, take a piece of metal, turn it down until it's the right diameter, weld them all together while it's inside of here, like that, and then weld a socket at the end of it to turn it. There you go. You make your own tool. And yours won't break either if you make it right. Okay, this stuff is all dry, so you put a little grease on it. That way it doesn't have to wait for the oil to go where it needs to go to. It might take a few miles before it gets up in here, so put a little bit of lube in there right now. You know it's got lube in it. It won't squeak and make noise. What you doing over there, Scooby? Scooby, where you at? He's over there hiding someplace. He's over there chasing a rat. Come on, Scooby, get over here. You having fun over there? Are you having fun? He's having fun. He either sleeps or he chases rats. Now whether he ever finds a rat, I don't know, but he's having fun trying to find one. He hasn't brought one to me yet, so we don't know. Okay, now compensators, you got a hub. Right here, which goes on your motor crank sprocket, or shaft, whatever you want to call it. You got the sprocket, and you got this piece here. You got a big spring, and then you got a big nut. That's all there is to it. Now they make these in different size tooth counts. So this one here is a pretty dinky one, which is not exactly my favorite way of doing things. So that's a good reason to go find a bigger one for them. So this is probably about a 23, I bet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's a 23. So you go up to a 24 on this, it cruises a lot better on the freeway. A lot less vibration on the bike. We got a good hot motor in this thing, so I'm going to go find me a 24. 23 is stupid. On these bikes you can only gear it up with a tranny sprocket and the motor sprocket. The bigger motor sprocket Also makes it kickstart easier, and makes the electric starter work easier too. When you got a nice good compression motor like this is, you need all the help you can get on these starters. So we're going to put a good one of these in there. We're going to swap this out. So you'll find me an early 24 tooth. Hopefully I still have one left. Okay, and then the rest of this stuff we got to put together too. So we'll hold off on that for a minute. Now this here is our chain shoe. So obviously this has been apart for some reason. So we got to put it back together. You got to make sure you put this piece here, they call the chain, in there before that goes in. Now before you use these chains, you want to make sure they're good. So first thing I do is I look down for all the rollers and make sure there's no broken ones or ones missing, parts of ones missing. Make sure it's not got a lot of slack like this in it. Just trying to double check everything all the way around. And you want to make sure it's nice and free and works everywhere, no tight spots, it rolls everywhere. So this one's nice and free, no binding. I don't see anything wrong with it, so this is a good one. So that has to be put inside of here. So you have to take these two bolts out down here at the bottom to do that. Boom. Put some Loctite on these bolts and you put them back in. You should be fine. Now when you run a small sprocket, you got to put this thing in backwards to take up all the slack of the chain. So you got to raise this thing up to a real high position. Ooh, a lot of Loctite. Scooby's over there digging on something. So you got these other holes in here. You can flip these things around like this, and up and down, way up high, way down low. Depending on what sprocket and chain combo you got, how much wear is on everything. When you got a good chain and a 24 tooth sprocket, it goes on the bottom the longest way. So that's how we're going to put it together. Like this. There's my bolt. It's your bolt that goes through the top, holds it all together. Like that. The chain's heavy and fighting me right now. There we go. See, normally I have this laying on a table, which makes it easier, but as usual, when you're on the video trying to show stuff, it's harder. No big deal. We'll figure it out. Okay, that goes in there like that. And you tighten this down here good and tight. And that's where it goes. So I gotta get the quarter drive socket for that. Let's see. I should already have that socket. There it is. 7/16. Pull these down. Make sure you got this up in here to support it. Now something is bent. Okay, this tooth plate is bent. Okay, see the gap up here? See how this thing's bent right in here? So this plate's bent. So this plate needs to be straightened before we can use it. So now we get to take it back apart again. Can never do anything once, right? It's definitely got a good bow to it. Okay, so I take it and I beat it with a big hammer. Yeah, small hammer. I take my favorite tool. I take it to my big steel bench over, it's 1.5 inches thick, and I beat it down until it's flat. Or you can put in a press and do it. I like beating on it, it's more fun. So we'll do that. Alright. You can hear the first couple hits were kind of dull and it got nice and ringy. So ringy is when you're beating flat. Okay, so now it's flat all the way down on both sides. It was bent on the bolt holes a little bit, especially this top one where it's been all eaten up. Now this is the bad part up in here. We're going to put a washer on this. Make sure you put this toward the good part of the bracket so it sits flat. Okay, I'm going to do this again. And it helps to do it correctly. Look at the chain shoe area. Yeah, you're not watching me very well, are you? Put the bolt in there. Still bowing out a little bit. See, it's still bowed out a little bit, so when I tighten up it'll bend it back in. That's because the shoe is collapsing down here because I torqued the piss out of it. I like torquing the piss out of everything. So I'm going to bend up these lock tabs so they stay put. So I'm going to do that. So I need a little chisel for that. Okay. And our channel locks too. So here's a little chisel. It'll bend the tab out. So you bend it out of the tab a little bit, and then you go in with the pliers and buckle it around. Okay. So now the tab is all pulled around, so the bolts can unscrew, and we got Loctite on them also. You gotta make sure they don't stick through too far so they don't interfere with the plate being in there. These ones are getting close to being too far, but it's right on the edge. Okay, and when we pull this in, it'll bend this plate in a little bit and pull it in good. So the primary right here has a little nut on the inside in here. So that's what holds it in. Right in there. So you have to lift it up and put the bolt into it and get it started. The new bikes, the cheap bikes, they actually have a stove bolt that sticks in a square and sticks out. So that's a cheap way of doing things. These are a lot better quality bolts here than those stove bolts are. But the other ones are a lot cheaper, so guess why they make it? Because it's cheap. Typical Harley. Okay, I gotta find me a motor sprocket, and I had to do something else too, I forgot, but I'll figure that out. I'll be back when I find the other stuff. Okay, we're back at it again. So I went over to pull the lever off, which is kind of hard to do. And I go to check to see why it won't go on there, and oh, it fits. What fun. So you have to get the angle just right because it's such a tight fit on here. So you have to get it just right, and evidently I didn't get it just right. So I'm going to see if I can fish this thing in there like this, already installed, because it wouldn't go in the other way. I doubt if it's going to want to go in this way either. There we go. I think it's going to make it. It's fighting me, but looks like it might make it. Yeah, it's fighting me. Definitely is fighting me. Yeah, you bastard. Ah. Going, kind of. Ah, there, get it. It was not a happy camper there. But it made it. And there it goes down. Perfect. Loctite, where that ran off to. So you don't have to be happy about going on, it just has to go on. And it went on. It screwed up. And where did my wrench go? And where did my washer go? Wonderful. The washer that was on there is now... Nope, it's still stuck on the lever. Damn, that's weird. Washer never fell off the lever after all that abuse I just put it through. So I'm going to get this tightened up here, so it'll be a minute before I get back over there. Looks like a little bit of dead air time. Makes the videos longer for the mouse, right? How many times am I going to hit the regulator with a wrench? Okay, down. Ugh. Okay, she's tight. Installed. There we go. Nothing to it, have it. And now we got our rod in there where it belongs. It goes right on top of the mousetrap over here. Of course, it doesn't fit for a squat. That'll be a whole nother problem. Why would that work, right? Okay, we left off on the motor sprocket. So luckily I had one more 24 left. Getting hard to come by. This one has a little bit of wear on the outside edge, but nothing serious. So it's in pretty good shape, relatively speaking. This here's the 23 right here. So the difference between 24 and 23 is that much. So there you go, that's the difference. It's only about half a tooth up. But that's worth about 8 miles an hour in gearing, so it's almost like having an overdrive in there. Now, we need to find out if this is going to go on there easy or not. Not. So I need to go ahead and get a test fit on this. So usually I like to put a little oil or grease on the thread so it doesn't tear up the thread when you're torquing the snot out of them. If you use Harley torque, you might have to do something more than what I do. But I don't follow Harley recommended torques. I torque to what I want to torque them to. Okay, that's in there. Steel hammer, tool. Halfway close now. More tools. Okay. That's tight. Okay. One nice thing about a compensator, it's only the good thing about them that I can think of, it allows you to put the chain on and off check your alignment. You don't have to pull the sprocket off the crank like that's on there real tight. It's fun to get them on and off a lot too. So once that's on there, that ain't coming off. So you'd be play hell to get that off again. So you better like where it is. So I hope we don't have to change it because it's on there pretty tight. Okay, now back here in the clutch, we're going to go ahead and disassemble our clutch back here. Put some room over here. Make sure I lose our nuts. Okay, so we have our pressure plate here. Actually, what we should do is assemble the pressure plate. For some reason, that doesn't seem to be flat. It must be the bench. The rack's got a bow in it, probably. Okay, we got our clutch springs here. It's easier to do this now than later. These are just stock springs. If you see any difference in heights, mix and match them so they're not all on one side. Or replace them. Okay, you got an offset 3 pelt pattern, so you got to see which way it goes. So this one here looks like it is this way right here. Which it is not, it's the other one. There we go. Ooh, that looks bent. Stamped steel stuff it bends. Oh. Springs all these dimples here will support the spring, so gotta make sure you put them in their correct spot. Now the tool you use for tightening this up is a big washer. You can also use a valve collar, they don't work as good. Then you need an adjustment screw that goes in there, wherever it ran off to. Somewhere under all this pile of crap that's in here. There we go. So that goes in there like that. Need to get a few threads there of the pressure plate. That's good enough. Now you just tighten this up with your zip gun or wrench or whatever you got laying around. It's 1/2 inch. That's enough. Just enough to get the nuts on there. Okay, pull that up. There you go. So now that's an assembly, you don't have to worry about it going anywhere. Now next thing you want to do is see how warped it is from the spring tension. So you have to look for your straight edge here. So see how I push in the corner, see how it warps like that? That's why these don't work real good. Let me see. Where you can kind of see where it is. So I pushed on the bottom, you see how it goes up on top. So you see how it's warped like that, so it's actually curved because the tension on here makes it curved. So you can take it back and grind it flat, which helps them quite a bit. Or you put a nice heavy duty aluminum one on there, which makes the clutch work a lot better. Now, I forget what we're doing for a clutch on this bike. I remember replacing all this junk or repeating it, I forget. So we'll let him figure out when he comes by tomorrow. He'll tell me what he wants to do. It only takes a few minutes to put a clutch in a bike. So for now, we want to get this hub right here. We want to assemble it and put it on the bike so you can see the offset of everything. Get it back up here. So we already got our key in there. We got Loctite on everything. Make sure it goes on the key like it's supposed to. The keys like to wad up and go up backwards. This one does not want to go in there very good for whatever reason. I'm not sure what's going on. I think it's because the key is picking up. It's up so tight it didn't want to go down all the way. If that made it work better. Oh, a lot better. Now it's going in like it's supposed to. Now what's very important on these is to make sure the key is actually where it belongs. Like I said, they like to ride up the inside in there. So if you look up in there, you can see the key on top of the shaft in there. Now if you see a, you know, if it goes up like this, you can see the end of the key at an angle. That means it's not right. So you always want to make sure the keys are flat. And if in doubt, pull the hub off and look and make sure it's still in there. Now when they're pressed in the shaft like this one is, you can do this. Now if it's loose in the shaft like 99% of them are, then it won't stay put. And of course once you're on here, it shouldn't be rocking too much right now. If it is, the key is sticking up or the key's in wrong. Okay, so once we got that in there like that, this damn box in my way down here. I don't know where that box came from. Okay, so get back to here. There's a lock tab that goes in there. Now remember, I already got red Loctite on it. So here's our nut. We got two seals already in here. Now if you want to know if the seals are good, if you feel a drag on it going on and it pulls the push rod out, the seals are working. 9 times out of 10 they're good if that happens. So this lock tab goes right in here. The problem is when you tighten this thing down, it easily rotates it and it shears the key off with the tab and it doesn't do anything. But I usually put them in there, but most of the time they just spin. Now on my bikes I don't lose these stupid things. I just tighten the piss out of it with a Loctite on and forget it. The customers like seeing these things in there. Like I said, most of the time they rotate. Now you gotta make sure the tab stays in there. So I tend to like to run this in by hand, not just zip it with a zip gun. And make sure the tab is in there where it belongs. It's in there where it belongs. This is a backwards thread, so you loosen it to tighten it. It's an 1/8" socket. Use a deep well, works the best. So once again, we're going backwards to tighten. Okay, that's pretty good torque. Give it a little extra. You rotate it, make sure it's not wobbling too bad. We're looking at the lining back here, not the actual bearing area. Okay, it looks to be pretty good, so we'll go with that. Now you take your clutch basket, wipe off the muck that's on there. We'll put some new muck on it. Okay, you want to make sure all these tabs are tight. And you want to make sure these rivets here that hold this holds the sprocket to the basket here is tight. And you got to make sure the ring gear is tight. So you got a lot of stuff you got to look at. Now the 69 or 65 to 69 ring gear recesses in from the basket right here. The 70s are flush or stick in this way a little bit. So whenever you see the one that's way on the inside like this, it's for a generator bike, not an alternator bike. These are a lot harder to come by. Now if you go like this and just hit it, should have a decent amount of ringing to it. So it sounds halfway decent. So if it's just a thud 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 hit, then you know it's broke. It's loose probably. Okay, so you stick this up on there like that. We look over here in our gear, make sure it's got, you know, clearance. This thing's got like 3/16 clearance back there, so it's got a buttload of it. Okay, the next thing we want to do is we want to check the alignment between this sprocket here and this sprocket up here, and they should be straight. Now you can measure them with a book, measure from the gasket surface in, or you can take a straight edge if we got one that'll fit in there. Take this piece of straight metal, stick it in there and see how it fits. Now this is not a straight piece of metal because it's got a curve in it. Feels good. What I'm doing is I'm catching two teeth. Here, I'll show you. Right here, I'm pushing on these two teeth right here, which kind of centers it up on your chain line like this, so it's not like this. When you push on those two right there, it centers it up. See how it centers it up in the... Yeah, it's hard to hold it like this. Anyway, you put pressure on the teeth right there, and that'll kind of center it so it goes straight. And then you let this drop down on the sprocket and you push on it, see if it moves. If it just drops straight down, you push on it, doesn't move, that means it drops right next to that tooth back here in the basket. If it moves a little bit, that means there's a gap. So this one seemed like it was nice, right on the money. So it's close enough for me. I'm going to run it. You can be off quite a bit because you have a little bit of clearance here in the sprocket to the chain. I don't know if you can see that, but you got about 30 thou in here, 25, 30 thousands. So you have that on both pieces, this piece and this piece. So you can be off a 1/16 of an inch, and it'll work. It's not the best, but it'll work. When you start getting off more than that, that's when you start having this wear on the side like this. That's because this wasn't centered up with the other one. So that makes a difference. So, all right, so we just got that checked. So now we can go ahead and get this thing together correctly. Like I said, this is the only advantage of a compensator. We don't have to keep pulling the sprocket on and off. Other than that, I hate the damn things. Okay, so I'm going to goop up this one because I just replaced it. That's good. And I'm going to put a little bit of grease on this also. You don't want to get too much on here, just a little bit. It's going to wind up in a clutch place anyway, but I want to overdo it. Obviously this backside you want to try to keep dry, but so it's going to get wet anyway, so whatever. It's not our do or die situation if it gets a little bit on there. Put a little bit on the ramps right here too. Okay, everything's lubed up, including my finger. Oh, forgot. Make sure you put a little bit of this on the push rod right here. Best if those don't run dry. Okay. Put that out of the way over there. Okay, now for the fun part. Okay, take your basket. Pull your thing over. Wrap it around the basket. Like that. See how it's in there. You take your motor sprocket, stick it up on that, roll it around, and see how we're in the wrong spot. You know why we're in the wrong spot? Because some dumbass put it in the wrong part of the chain. It's supposed to be on this side. I don't know who would have done that. Of course, this don't want to come off either now. Alright, so see, I'm making it easy to show the video and I wasn't paying attention to what I was doing. That makes me the dumbass. Okay, now I get to redo this. That lock tab just broke off and that was the last one on that side. So now I gotta go find another lock tab too. And that one just broke off. Okay, good. So that's the last chance for doing that. Now make sure you don't lose these lock tabs. They gotta go in the trash. You don't leave them just laying around because they'll get lost inside your primary chain and cause problems. And that would be a bad thing to do, so try not to do that. So now I gotta do this differently. See, it helps to put things together correctly the first time. Okay. This goes on the bottom. Tell me. I gotta get me a new lock. Alright, so I'm gonna go find me a new lock and I'll be back.